Welcome everyone to the monthly philosophical chat where you can ask me any deep questions beyond travel, history, food, or architecture. There has been some lag for some unknown reason to me, so I'm restarting this video. And basically, in order to summarize what I said in the last video, because the other one I'm going to unlist it, is that I have not been fully focused on live video. It has not been on top of mind for me, so my apologies. I hope you're okay that I am doing live video, showing up and showing you the best I can, because I've been riding the wave of short videos and doing as many short videos as I could. I've been editing 3 to 4 short videos and filming a lot. So that's been a bit overwhelming, and then posting as well, because I have 2 editors that are making videos for me. So it has been a lot. So I haven't been fully focused on live video, and that's why I didn't make a schedule for today. So I hope you're okay with me just jumping on here randomly. But I am sure that people will ask me questions that people who couldn't tune in live would be curious about. I have that feeling. So feel free to ask me anything beyond travel, food, architecture, New York City, history, beyond those topics, because you can ask me that anytime. Fridays or Saturdays at 4 p.m. when I go live, especially this holiday season, and then also in other random live videos that I do in restaurants and things like that. So also the other thing I mentioned was I'm a little bit in the crossroads with live video. It's a bit tricky because I have been, putting my heart and soul into providing the best live videos for 6 years. And right now I'm immensely grateful that my audience has exploded, but it has not exploded due to live video. It has exploded due to short videos. Those short videos are directly, I have achieved great skill in my storytelling, in my editing, and my way of shooting, and the skills I've received also from telling stories out in public from my live videos that have helped me become very successful in short video. So I'm super grateful for that. But right now I'm feeling kind of that, almost that sinking feeling of, I worked so hard for 6 years on live video. Especially this past year, I've shown places that I don't think anyone has shown on live video, at least not as successfully as I have. I don't think anyone has shown the trip up a 12,700 foot mountain via the tallest cable car in the world and then gone over to a different country all in one live stream. And then many other things like that, showing the beautiful sunsets of Santorini and hiking to the 3rd tallest mountain in Greece. I've shown so many cool things on live video, but then again, those live videos only get 2,000 or 3,000 views. And right now it's kind of hitting me. It's hitting me like, oh no. But obviously that is life. Not everything is going to be glamorous or get you recognition or lots of attention. Sometimes life wiggles around in different directions. So that's how I'm feeling right now with what I'm doing as a YouTuber and a live streamer and a filmmaker overall. And Alyssa says, I love your content too. I'm so glad you do, Alyssa. Thank you so much. Karen says, experiences are never wastes of time. That is 100% correct. I highly agree with that. No experience, even the bad experiences, are worth it in life. You get to learn a lot, you get to live a lot, and that's great. JC says, patience, man. You'll be at 500K subs in a year and a half. Yeah, JC, I appreciate that. I assume this is what some artists go through. I've heard many artists talk about this, and also filmmakers, where you make, like, this happens with filmmakers, where you're very good at making independent films that are like about dramas, that are more artsier with beautiful cinematography, and then the filmmaker makes one popcorn action film and they get all the recognition for that, and no one cares, or I'm exaggerating, of course, but the general public does not care about the artsy films that they used to do and that they are more proud of. So yeah, it's a interesting struggle, but I think it's more important beyond that, is to be grateful for all of it. I'm super grateful. So actually, before I even rant any further, I want to state that I am immensely grateful for everyone tuning in. I'm immensely grateful for the audience I've had on live video. Immensely grateful for the people who have commented and left kind insights. And also immensely grateful for the people I met as well in person. So thank you so much, everyone. I appreciate that. And then also I appreciate everyone sharing these live videos, patrons as well, and people who purchased the guide, merch. I love when people have bought the cool merch, like the Bob the Pigeon merch, and have enjoyed it in their homes and things like that. So, and listen to the music. That is really, really wonderful. JC says, you're not shooting a blockbuster one shot, all or nothing. Yeah, you're right. Maybe live videos have been very impactful in how I edit my short videos. So maybe live videos will also be very impactful on how I shoot a movie, because I do want to make a huge epic film. Susie says, sounds like you're saying goodbye. It does. But I am not. I'm kind of saying goodbye to there's a moment that this happens, I think, in everyone's life, especially if you're creative. You pour your heart and soul into something, and then you have that moment of disillusionment. Or some people might say it's a moment where reality hits you. A lot of people frame that in a negative way. Or you can say it's kind of a leaving behind innocence. And I think that, in essence, is what I'm saying goodbye to. Yeah. But it's only a part of the growing process to kind of realize, oh, wait a minute, not everything is going to be as glamorous or as exciting or as explosive all the time. And that's okay. To just enjoy the ebbs and flows of this journey called life, but more specifically in the creative journey of making cool entertainment. It's important to just enjoy the ebbs and flows. And to not get caught up with the numbers, or necessarily not the money either. Not get too caught up also in the business end of things. Warner says, you have achieved many successes this year. I have indeed. Yes, I have indeed. I just crossed 600K on TikTok. Matt says, do you think Stop and Frisk has cleaned up New York? this can easily go into a very polarizing political discussion, but I would say first, it's important to never discriminate against anyone, to not assume that someone is going to cause harm, or is someone who is more inclined to cause harm. It's better not to assume that. It's better not to discriminate against individuals or communities. That said, we do have to be also very grateful for our law enforcement in these cities. Not everyone's good, not everyone's fair, not everyone is smart and well trained in terms of law enforcement or any type of duty that requires some type of defense or force, like the military as well. Not everyone, but I think a large portion we cannot take for granted in countries like the US and Western Europe. A large portion of these individuals that work in law enforcement want to protect, they want to help, they want to be there for their communities. And I think it's important to also recognize that. So it's never an either or situation. And if we recognize both, I think we can move forward in a very productive way rather than hating one or the other. Bree says, what is your main career goal in 2023? That's a great question. I want to master the vlog. I mentioned this in the other live video that crashed, but I saw this amazing video. I forgot the Instagrammer's name, but he got these snippets of New York and shot it beautifully, so cinematic. And I want to find a way to make a vlog that is more than just a vlog. I want to push the medium of vlogs forward. I want to make a vlog that feels like a film. But no, I don't want to make a film that's posted on YouTube. I want to make a vlog that has elements of great filmmaking. Not like Casey Neistat. I think one of the elements I would love to do is what captivated me last year was the Netflix series Pretend It's a City, directed and shot by Martin Scorsese, who covers a amazing female writer here in New York City that has been around in New York for decades. If anyone remembers her name, do let us know. But it's this amazing mini documentary series that is about New York, and it's about kind of the soul of New York, told through the lens of this writer, who's a little bit of a curmudgeon in that classic New York City way. So she's also very charming in that kind of sarcastic, no-nonsense New York City way. But the way he shot that was so visually appealing that I would love to do that in a vlog. I would like to combine elements of vlogs and that documentary series, like Martin Scorsese's Pretend It's a City, or elements of Fran Lebowitz. Thank you so much, Marcy. Fran Lebowitz is the writer, and she's very talented. Elements of that, also a little bit elements of the kind of the absurdity that you saw in shows like Broad City. Yeah, I want to do that. I have no idea how to do it. And I don't think I could do it alone. Someone earlier asked me, do I feel lonely? Luckily in general in life, no. But I do feel a little bit lonely in the artistic process. So I think that type of project, I think it's time that I start working very seriously with other people that I trust and really connect with. So I have no idea how I'm going to get it done. But let me know if you would love to see some type of vlog series that not just tells you the story like I do in my short videos. In my short videos, I'm telling you the story. I'm editing shots and it's visual, but that's kind of a add-on. What the core is in my short videos and the core is in my live videos is me telling you the story, talking. But I want to make vlogs that are not just that. I want to go beyond that and tell you the story visually and also through sound design to immerse you filmically into a place. And at first I thought that would be great for a TV show. But now I realize maybe I should not do this on a TV show, because TV probably won't want to do this. Either I need to have full creative freedom with a Netflix, or I should just do it on YouTube. And that's another thing I'm kind of going through right now. So that's why this live stream almost sounds like a goodbye. I'm not saying goodbye necessarily to anything, but it's almost a goodbye to that dream as well of being on TV. Not that I feel like I don't have value for it. I do, but I now feel that, if I'm gonna do something really creative, really that'll push the medium forward, I think it's best that I do it in my own terms. With a team, but in my own terms. Let me know what you think. I'm very curious, your thoughts. Because I'm a creator, but I'm curious as you, as consumers, as the audience, what are your thoughts on this? It's all very abstract, and every time I talk to producers, they're like, oh yeah, this is a bit abstract. What's the story? To be honest, I have no idea what the story is. Devin says the real value is on YouTube, also Netflix. Yeah. I kind of feel that as well. Yeah. Also cinema, movies, the big screen. But this type of story that I would love to tell is meant for the small screen. And I want to make it that way. I want to get a feeling of big screen, but on YouTube. JC says, honestly, the biggest thing I like about your brand is the quick pops of intriguing history with landmarks. Stay curious, my friends. Keep it simple. I feel like you keep doing that. I'm glad you enjoy it. Thank you so much, JC. Yeah, I like keeping it simple. It's important to not just stay doing the same thing, because I, as a creative, am going to get bored, and you're going to feel that. So that's why I'm always pushing forward to do different things. But I appreciate that. I will assure you that whatever I do moving forward will still have the energy that you liked. It might not be the same medium necessarily, or the same exact type of storytelling, but it will still convey that very feeling of fascination and curiosity that tickled you before. I assure you that. Maybe bringing the expert owners of employees to make videos for 15 minutes. Yeah, that would be part of the type of documentary series. Catherine says, get some good people around you, some good investments, and have your own production company. Yeah, precisely. I have no idea how to do that yet, but yeah, precisely. That is my intention. Steven says, definitely nailed that vibe. Giant landmarks with pops of knowledge. Most people don't get outside of New York City guided tours, all on the small screens on our phones. Yeah. I mean, that's what I love about the short videos and also live videos. It's great. It's a great medium for that. So I would love to do that in long form. but also kind of show you these cinematic sequences and cool filmmaking tricks that I can't really do in a short video. I can't really do in a live video. Darlene says, will you be reaching out to producers? This is the tricky thing. If the producer is too entrenched in the current TV world or streaming, I generally found out that producers don't want to do what I'm talking about. They don't see the value in it. They don't see the business opportunity, the business gain out of it. It seems too risky because it is risky. I'm talking about something that very few people have done, especially on YouTube. So it is risky. So yeah, I want to work with a producer, but it can't be a producer that's too traditional in their methods. It has to be someone who's really willing to do something adventurous in terms of filmmaking. Well, you do a collab with Michael Bay, says Ron. I enjoy Michael Bay, but he's not my favorite. I'm not sure if I would get along with Michael Bay on a personal level. I'm sure he's a good person, but I'm not sure if I would connect with him. So no, but James Cameron, yes. I have a feeling I would really get along with James Cameron. That's for sure. Catherine says, I wouldn't want to see you overwhelmed with producers. I want you to have the same beliefs that you have. Yes, exactly. Yeah, precisely. Hey, Raj says, here's the thing. If you can do it, if anyone can do it, you can. If you do something immersive, but put it behind a paywall, do teasers and give us a full premiere. Raj. Yeah. Obviously, entertainment, sometimes it's appropriate that's free, like a YouTube video, like live video, like short videos, because there is no entertainment is ever going to be free, especially once you start getting into more complicated productions. It is impossible to do something 100% for free. Someone's giving money. Someone's gaining money. So on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, I end up getting money from advertisers or from bonuses directly from the company or from sponsors or from patrons. All that is connected. On Netflix, you get paid by Netflix, and Netflix gets that money partly from the subscriptions. So yeah, nothing ever is ever truly free in entertainment. Sometimes you can have government-funded documentary series that will be given free, but that is because you're making something that's in the interest of a government or an organization or some type of grant. So yeah, now the nature of entertainment is that some things will continue to be free. Some things might require admission, like going to the film, going to a movie, or subscribing to Netflix. I probably won't make something that I would personally put behind a paywall, because that also sounds tedious. All right, I got the sun in my eye. Let me move let me put down the blinds. I'll be right back. Stay there. Don't go. Kelly says, wait, PBS isn't free that anymore? PBS is still free. I don't like PBS too much because they tend to make things very slow and pretty academic. But I love BBC. Oh my, BBC I would 100% work with. Those guys know. in my opinion, they know how to make a great story that's nonfiction. Oh, yes. Okay. Bree says, I'm a paralegal for a movie theater company. I can't give legal advice, but she says that I would stay away from big production companies. I'll be curious why you think that, but I kind of understand what you mean. Someone asked, would tourism boards pay for that type of project? I wouldn't be too optimistic. New York City Go is very fascinating. So check out my videos that I did with New York City Go. They are increasingly becoming interested in history, which is very fascinating. So maybe New York City, but I wouldn't be too optimistic about other countries. Maybe, actually, the only other country I think that would be keen is England. Yeah. England really loves history and loves to make documentaries about history. It's very evident with BBC, but also a lot of other major production companies in England. There's a deep fascination with history there, which is great. And they seem to culturally be interested in propagating stories about their own history, which not all countries are like that, including the US. The US is not so, overall as a country, too interested in making too much content about its history. JC says, because big production companies who give a big investment. If you give it a few years, you will become successful in your own right organically. Yeah, thank you so much, JC. I appreciate that. Please do more Chicago, says G. I love Chicago. And I got my fill. I got what I needed from Chicago. I know I have a few Chicagoites that follow me. I don't want to create unrealistic expectations. And I'll say this, I probably won't be doing more Chicago. But I certainly did love that week I was there. Gary says, Gary, here's a tip. Offer to write and present something about independence, and you probably get a grant from the current Scottish government. That could be your intro to BBC. I mean, Gary, I don't think you're wrong. Gary, I think you do make a point. So Gary from Edinburgh makes a very interesting point. I'm not sure about Scotland. I'm curious about Scotland. Are they similar to England with documentaries about history? I think pretty much Scotland's the same. Ireland, I'm not entirely sure. I didn't see too much content from Ireland while I was there. France is very interested in their own history as well, but unfortunately, France is that type of country where I would need to know French. Irene says, Chicago has so much to do and see. It does indeed. It just wasn't my favorite city. Marie says, why not make a Scorsese type of film about Puerto Rico? It's possible. Puerto Rico is hard. It's a hard to cover it. There's certain topics and certain places around the world that when you make videos about the history, you're walking on eggshells. Because there's a lot of complicated elements to the history that might be in Puerto Rico. There's topics just like American history with slavery, with colonization, with military, with unfortunately with non-consensual military experiments, current political turmoil. Yeah, it's tough. I am not quite that type of filmmaker or journalist. I really thrive when I'm fascinated and when I'm making content that is joyful and giving a sense of joyful curiosity, I think is the best way of putting it. And admittedly, some places around the world are a little bit hard to talk about in that context. It might not be so appropriate. And that's why Puerto Rico is a bit complicated. That's why in Puerto Rico, it was easy to stick to talking about el morro and the yunque and maybe some food. But I think once you go beyond that, oof, oh yeah, I grew up very connected to Puerto Rico, and there's a lot of complicated history there, and that people still feel raw. So I think something similar I encountered in Mexico. People still feel very raw. It happens here in the U.S. Very raw, that history. In Europe, the benefit is that you're centuries removed. And in Ireland, even if it was just 1 century, just a few 100 years ago, there was that. In Ireland, it wasn't so divisive, but other parts of the world, it is. Martin says, what would constitute a perfect day for you? Well, I love what I do. So my perfect day was basically when I was in Europe. Waking up, having a good coffee. My perfect day was basically in London. Waking up, having a good coffee with a nice breakfast, avocado toast with poached eggs, huge, gigantic sausage links. Walking around in the early day in London, seeing the huge rush of commuters scurrying about in every single direction. Walking around, going to the bookstore, having more coffee at the bookstore, or buying a book and going to a nearby coffee shop and reading that book, and just wandering around the streets of London. I just loved it. It was to me that those are perfect days. Kay says, there's a lot of history programs on Irish television, but it seems to be one-sided. Interesting. Okay. Yeah. Werner says, I'm missing sticky toffee pudding in Scotland. Yeah, I had those same perfect days in a few other places. I have them in New York. Same thing. New York, it's nice to wake up, have a nice brunch, walk around, enjoy a good book. Right now, reading a book called The Satoralist Man, really great book. Just wandering. I don't like having a plan. So my perfect day is a day without a plan. It's literally just wandering and see what life brings you. Hanging out with a friend, going for a meal, maybe making a video. Going to a show, but the most important thing for me is no plan. And that's why I love cities. Because in the city, you can have no plan, and the chances of something interesting happening with someone, meeting someone, going to a cool place, a landmark, a show, a store, those happen more in great cities. And someone earlier asked, what makes for the best city? It's that. The cities that enable those chance encounters, those serendipitous moments, that without a plan, you can have the most wonderful day. the most wonderful meal, see the most wonderful show, go to the most wonderful museum without any plan. Not all cities are created equal. That's why someone asked me about Chicago. To me, Chicago is not that type of city. It's unfortunate. It has some of the most beautiful architecture in the world, but I think due to how Chicago has been developed in terms of its urban design, it lacks those chance encounters. Seattle too, unfortunately. Again, another gorgeous city, but lacks those chance encounters. But New York, Boston, London, Paris, Rome, Dublin, so basically every city in Ireland is very similar to that. That, to me, is a perfect day. Kay says, I don't understand people making plans when they visit. I just wander and find surprise places. Yeah. And that's why I made my guide, my New York City guide. So right now, right, !guide. And I do give you plans, but if you don't like having a plan, don't read the guide. That might sound counterintuitive, but if you're the type of person who doesn't like an itinerary, maybe you read the guide once or don't really read it, but pop up the maps. And then as you're wandering around, you can just quickly reference the map. And then especially if you're in Manhattan, there'll be a place nearby you. That's my recommendation. Just go there. Just go there. I think that's the beauty of the guide that I'm providing digitally. That it's both for the people who want to know exactly what to do and how to do it, which I do it in writing and in voice notes. But beyond that, you can just use the map. And the map is, in my opinion, invaluable because I'm providing, I think now I have like 100 places listed. So I'm providing a lot of places that you can just, as you're walking around, like I'm in the East Village. Pop up the map, boom. Oh, I can go to Calle Pepe. There we go. Just go. I'm gonna put over here, urbanist.live/guide. Over here. There we go. Just for a little while. Same could be said about Atlanta and Baltimore. Yeah. Oh, that's in terms of like Chicago. I think it might be more like Chicago. Robert, it went very well. Very well. John says sometimes the mess ups or whatever's unplanned is the best. Yes. JC, I think people are referring to Baltimore more in the context of Chicago. They're interesting cities with interesting architecture, but the way they're designed probably is not so conducive to those chance encounters. John says Atlanta's hard to get around. Yeah, I think that's why. Yeah, same thing applies to LA. Interesting city. It has a very interesting history. And by all means, beautiful weather. But if you're wanting to do something without a plan, it's not going to work out. Cars require plans, unfortunately. Cars are not so conducive to you can just drive around in a car and it's beautiful, but it's mostly an experience relegated to your car or to you and whoever is in your car. Because when you use a car, you rarely encounter random people, unless if you're stop at some party or something, or park to explore a little downtown. Yeah, that could happen. But otherwise, a car, you're having maybe a day of random adventures, but it's only you or whoever's there, your significant other, a family, your friend. But in a city, since you're walking, even if you're walking with a significant other, a friend, a city, your kid, whoever, a dog, the chance encounters you might have might also be with other people. You might meet other people. You might, see cool animals like pigeons and squirrels and things like that. You might, there's so many cool things that can happen in those great cities of the world. I love public transit in Atlanta beats Detroit. Oh, that's good. Kelly, things are improving. That's a good thing. That's the good thing. Things are indeed improving. So hopefully, as we move forward, they get better. What are your passions in life, says Martin? Filmmaking, storytelling are my two passions in life. Spirituality would be my third passion in life. I don't talk about it too much. I used to. So I used to write a lot about spirituality. I think I'm very grateful. I've gotten to a point in my spiritual journey that I don't even feel the need anymore to talk about it. And it feels rather nice. I don't think many people will understand what I mean unless if you've done it yourself. Let me know. Maybe it does apply to other things, but yeah, it's very unique. I think this happens to a lot of people who are really into spiritual development. You get to a point where you just no longer have the need to talk or teach or illuminate people. You no longer have the need. It just comes by naturally, by pure happenstance. I think I've encountered this in photography. I did a freelance gig for a company called Luggage Hero, and I filmed a commercial for them, and they had a photographer there to shoot as well. And I remember chatting with this photographer who was very talented. She took amazing photos, and I asked her, "Hey, how do you plan your shoots? Did you make a list of what you want to shoot beforehand?" And she told me, "No, I just show up. Whatever feels right in the moment, I take a photo of it." And that blew me away because her photos seemed like they were planned. They seemed like not planned, but they're very purposeful. But she just showed up, and lo and behold, she took amazing photos. I think the same thing happens with spirituality. I think the same thing happens with storytelling. Rosemary says, "Yep, I know what you mean." Oh, cool. That's awesome to hear. As in Deep Chopra, I say Deepak Chopra spiritual? He's not my favorite. He's a very talented guy. He's probably written some great books. He's not my favorite in terms of listening to. Martin Neville says, "I could talk for hours with you about spirituality." Oh, cool, Martin. I'm glad. JC says, "Meh, you have to plan great spiritual health just like you plan great photography." I would challenge that belief, JC. I know what you mean, and it could be true in certain ways, but I would challenge that. You don't always need to plan great health, I think. I think we're all in our lives, there are moments in our lives where it pays to plan, it pays to be logical and intellectual, it pays to have very clear intentions. And then there are moments in life where it pays to just go with the flow. If the waters of your life are very stagnant and still, it pays to paddle just a little bit. If the waters are rushing fluidly, it pays to just go with it. But if the waters are rushing madly, then it pays to maybe lay down an anchor and slow down a little bit. Sometimes you just gotta go with the flow even in the way you approach the flow. John says, I think you've mastered the nuance of photography just to show up and take great photos. Thank you so much, John. I appreciate that. For me, it's definitely with buildings, not so much with people. I am not good at people photography, but buildings, yes. I appreciate that. Yeah, with a building, I could take a good photo. Have you got a busy week ahead, says Susie. Luckily, nothing planned for sure, which is nice. This is the beauty of being your own boss. So no, I have nothing 100% planned for sure. Facebook Reels are doing very well in terms of the bonuses that they're giving because a few videos of mine are going viral. So if I push forward with bringing out the best Reels in the next 3 weeks, I could potentially have a very good budget to make that vlog series that I was talking about. Oleg says, have you considered using a special lens with your smartphone? It corrects stretched angles. Oleg, yeah. It would be interesting. Unfortunately, I think it pays off a little bit to be more bare bones when it comes to live video or short videos with gear. Because it just makes it easier on me to focus on the storytelling and filming, and especially if it's in public, not planned. That's why I don't use too much gear. So yeah, it would be interesting to have a lens attached to my camera that would fix that kind of distortion that happens at the corner of the angles. But ultimately, most people won't notice. And that's why I have considered it, but haven't done it yet. I got this comment also from people about audio, because in audio, I'm mixing different clips together sometimes. And for example, like I might be shooting a building, like the Empire State Building, and I shoot outside. JC says, so what distortion? So if you see on the corners, it might not be visible now because I'm using the selfie camera, but when I use the front-facing camera, if you see the corners, they kind of distort a little bit because the angle is so wide that it kind of distorts. It's really hard. There's only few lenses out there in the world that kind of doesn't have that distortion, or you kind of have to manipulate it in post when you're editing afterwards. So what was I gonna say? I forgot what I was gonna say. That means your priority is to invest in vlogs, not so much in travel at the moment. And so content is your priority, not the quality of film. Ron, that's the tricky part. Kay says, I have never noticed. Oh yeah. So before I answer Ron and Nicole's questions, these are very good questions. Some people have told me about audio. So for example, in the Empire State Building, I'm outside, you hear me clearly outside, but then I go downstairs, and you're gonna see this video soon. It's very loud, there's like a fan going on, and I'm recording audio right there, and then I cut to somewhere quieter, or then I maybe put a voiceover, and you can easily tell it's a voiceover. So I have had a few people, good intentions, reach out to me, and some people who know their stuff about audio editing, telling me, hey, you should do this, you should blend the audio better, you should record room tone, you should do this and this and that with editing, or sound recording on the field, like using a lav mic, for example, in certain situations. I understand, but I don't do it intentionally because most people don't notice, especially for a short video and also for a live video. people don't really notice too much. It doesn't interfere with the enjoyment of the content. B, and Ron just mentioned this, is content your priority over the quality of filmmaking. That is the catch-22 of online content creation. I think it's the catch-22 of entertainment, but especially in the online world, is that quality can get you a lot of views, bring a lot of opportunities, bring you financial success. But quantity does as well. The thing is, quality doesn't always bring you opportunities and financial success. Quantity, the amount you do, generally does. So sometimes it pays to be making more quantity of videos than it is to just focus on the pure quality of it. And that's another reason why I am not so nitpicky with the best production in the short videos and the live videos. Especially short videos. They're 1 minute long, maybe maximum 3 minutes long. There's not much financial benefit, nor even artistic benefit, and definitely no benefit in terms of the algorithm to perfect the audio, perfect every single word that I say, perfect the visual quality of it. There's very little benefit in me doing that, and most of the audience does not notice. And then beyond that, certain algorithms, especially on TikTok, and now increasingly on Instagram and in YouTube Shorts, authenticity is perceived as being more worthy of being pushed by the algorithm. So they do not want necessarily the perfect video. They want a fun video, even if it may have a mistake or two, or it might not be so clean in its aesthetic. And this is very evident in history, short video makers. So I have a few colleagues that are extremely talented, and you might have met them in my videos before. Very talented. But they have a quarter of my audience because they just do very little videos. They may do 2 or 3 per week. It's just too little. They're putting out too little. And I wish I can just tell them. Sometimes I am very tempted to tell them, like, hey man, make way more. Especially if you're doing this full time, make way more, because you're gonna get a much bigger audience. And that might be, and people just want entertainment. People don't ultimately want the perfect video, especially when it's a rather throwaway video. It's like being a writer in an article in the newspaper or a reporter. You gotta have good journalistic integrity, of course, but you don't need to write the perfect prose for an article on the newspaper. You cannot edit that prose to be perfect. You cannot spend too much time editing that prose to be perfect. You just gotta put out the story, because the story is that day. It has to be printed. Same thing with online social media. And people just want to read the story. In my case, they just want to watch the story. It doesn't matter that it is perfect. So that's why. The thing is that you can strive for perfection in this format of short videos, vlogs, or live. You can strive for that. And it might be beneficial to sometimes do that. And I do, for sure. Sometimes I do make a video where I pour a lot of time and effort in it. But I've noticed that sometimes that time and effort, I get very little from it. And I realize that's okay, because I at least am very, I make something that I am truly proud of. Like my documentary that I did on fashion. And even then, people were telling, I got feedback from a few friends, not a few friends, like one friend who is really good at what they do, also in filmmaking. And they were telling me, oh, I really recommend doing this, and maybe try doing this over. Maybe you should film this again. And I heard them, and I knew what they meant. But I knew with this fashion documentary that I produced in 2020, I just had to put it out there. I could not linger on this anymore. There's a great film that talks about this exact topic, and it's called While We're Young. And it's directed by Noah Baumbach, who's one of my favorite filmmakers, mostly does films here in New York. And this stars Ben Stiller and Naomi Watts. And the other co-star is Adam Driver. It's about an older couple, older I mean in their 40s, a couple in their late 40s, mid to late 40s, meeting a young couple in their early 20s. Funnily enough, the older couple is from Park Slope, Brooklyn. The young couple is in Bushwick, Brooklyn. And the older couple, the guy, played by Ben Stiller, is struggling with finishing this documentary that he's been working on it for 10 years. And as they go through this experience of meeting a younger couple, they see how this younger couple just puts things out there. One of the people in that younger couple is an artist, and that artist just, when they first see it, they think, oh, this is kind of ugly and sloppy. But they are so fascinated that this young woman just puts it out there, even if it's not perfect. And as the movie goes through, it's a beautiful film because they end up finding out that the reason that they were feeling too old, the reason they were feeling bogged down by life, was because they no longer had that young inclination of just putting things out there, of just doing for the sake of doing, of just letting it all out. It's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to flub. It's okay to put something out that's not maybe the perfect thing. Just let it out. Like letting out a good fart. If you hold it in, you're going to get very bloated. It happens in life. And that's why sometimes when I talk to artists, people who are very serious filmmakers, they're puzzled by what I do. Because to them, it's like, oh, yeah, oh, man, you put that out? And if they were to do the same, they would feel very embarrassed. But just like when letting out a good fart, it's better to go through the embarrassment than to hold it in and get deeply bloated later. So sometimes it's good to let it out. And to answer Nicole's question, she said, so are you going to focus more on making the vlog than traveling? That's the second challenge. Is I traveled so many awesome places, but I didn't get more views traveling necessarily. The one place that I ended up getting a lot of success, two places I ended up getting a lot of success by traveling was Italy, and more specifically Rome, Athens, and Italy, Greece, and Ireland. These are the places where I traveled to where I had immense amount of success. The other places, not so much. And that has been a little bit of the frustrating part, because the other places are actually more expensive to travel to than Italy, Greece, or Ireland. Ireland was expensive, but then Italy or Greece. So it was very disheartening this past summer. Again, I'm super grateful, 100% deeply, immensely grateful that I went to all these wonderful places. I will not take it back for anything in the world. And I don't want to come across like I'm complaining, but in terms of business, in terms of a career, and in terms of just money, because it takes money to go to places. I traveled to these wonderful places: Denmark, Copenhagen, Sweden, France, and a bunch of places in France, a bunch of places in the Netherlands. I didn't get that much to make my money back. It was more a better business decision, a cold hard business decision, to go to Italy and Greece and Ireland than it was to go to those other countries. But I wouldn't take it back for the world. So that's what I'm going through right now, because I can't just continue. Unfortunately, I'm not in the financial position to just continue traveling to places where I just find fascinating and take the risk of them not being so beneficial in terms of making that money back. But sometimes you gotta say F it. So, Nicole, at the moment, I am not in the fuck it mode. Because this is what I mean about going in the ebbs and flows, by going with the flow. Luckily, I am my own boss, and luckily I am in a career field where I can really do anything I want, in essence. And I have a lot of eggs in different baskets. So in June, when I planned this trip, I was in the mode of like, oh, fuck it, I'm gonna go to these amazing countries, and some of them very expensive, amazing countries. And I'm glad I did. At this moment right now, I'm not in the fuck it mode. I'm kind of in the mode of like, oh my, I gotta somehow make a more stronger financial base so I can again be in that mode later on. So that's why I'm not traveling at the moment, exactly at the moment. Oleg says, budget traveling sucks. Yeah, it sucks. That's why I don't do it. I don't travel on an immense budget. I've been talking a lot about just my career. I hope, let me know if you guys enjoy this. But now I'll answer any questions that you might be more general about, beyond travel, beyond history, beyond food, beyond what I cover typically. Ask me any questions beyond that. I'm happy to give you my insight. Like Jamie asks, Dr. Tashi says, I agree. Rosemary says, oh, you got a cold. I do have a cold, yeah. So no spare air. Why do you think people don't fulfill their dreams? DS, great question. That exactly what I just said. The fear of putting things just out there. So Dindin says, have you found an apartment? No, I'm still in between apartments. It's hard in New York to find a very nice apartment. DS asks a great question. Too many people, and this is natural, and you cannot be hard on yourself if you're in this position. They're afraid of failure. Susie said that very well. They're afraid of failure. I'm nibbling on a on a coffee cake with cranberries. Coffee cake with cranberries. It's really good. A lot of people are afraid of failure. And that fear of failure causes procrastination. DS asked that before. People procrastinate. They put things off. You put things off, the very core feeling of procrastination is the fear of failure. That's the very core. That's why sometimes, and this happens to me, I procrastinate, but I do other productive things. I end up like cleaning. I end up like doing the laundry. I end up editing another video. I end up filming more other videos. But I procrastinate on a specific thing because I know I can do those other things successfully, so I just do them. But I'm afraid I'll fail with the thing I need to do. And it's important to fully feel that fear of failure. That's why I'm immensely grateful for doing live video. Because live video, when I fail live in front of the world, in front of an audience. Or when I'm recording a video in public and I mess up and I flub, or I make a mistake, I don't tell the story well, or someone's filming me and I'm telling the story to the camera and I mess up, I fail in public, I fail in the middle of people. And the more I've done that, the more fearless it has made me in terms of failing in the realms of storytelling and making videos. But this could apply to anyone. So put your things out there. I get this from a lot of friends. I ask them, hey, they tell me about a cool project that they're doing. And I ask them, hey, when can I see it? When are you going to put it out there? And they tell me a date that's very far away, like months away, a year away. And the way they're talking about it, it sounds like it can already be out there now. But they wait. Waiting, like procrastination, is the ultimate death knell for creativity. Don't wait. Don't wait. It's not going to be perfect. Do it now. Put it out there. This is life. It's real life. No one gives a shit. No one gives a shit. This is cold hard truth. No one gives a shit if your thing is perfect or not. People might say they give a shit, but they'll forget about it in 10 minutes. They'll forget about it the next day. A mentor, a good friend, a colleague who might be involved in the same type of art or creative endeavor or type of job might make it seem like they really give a shit that this thing that you're working on is not perfect and that you should perfect it before you put it out there. They might make it seem like they really give a shit. But they'll forget about it in a few days. Don't worry about it. Just put it out there. Put it out there, because if I would have listened to everyone who would have told me, hey, man, you should work on the way you tell stories on camera. You're embarrassing yourself. Oh man, you said this mistake. Oh man, you should maybe you should make a few mini documentaries before you tackle a full 45-minute documentary. Or, oh man, you shouldn't really accept this job. You shouldn't be asking that much money for that job because are you really that good? If I would have listened to everyone who told me that, I'm not just talking about online comments, because online comments is probably the least you should listen to. If you're someone who's posting things online, or the general public. If you're posting things to general public or exhibiting an art, or if you're in a company exhibiting to a greater business base, it's probably the least you should listen to is the general public. But even if your friends or family or mentors or bosses tell you that, listen to you first. And usually when you get clear, what is stopping you is the fear, not the failure. It's okay to fail. Because that's life. That's why we live. Is to have fun. Is to learn. And more importantly, is to love. To love. You're not loving if you're depriving people of your art. You're not being loving if you're depriving people of what you do best. You're not loving if you procrastinate. You're not loving if you feel embarrassed. It's okay if you have gone through any of those things. Don't be hard on yourself if you do. All of us go through that. But love and true love. I'm not talking about romantic love. Rosemary says, I gave up on love. You might be, and Rosemary says, love being single. I'm not talking about romantic love. I'm talking about love. Really, really love. Beyond romance. It might sound, to some people, it might sound stupid, especially if I've talked to a lot of people who are really in the head, a lot of times, really in the head. So to them, love is a stupid term. It doesn't matter. But people just want to see you. Don't succumb to the anxieties of others. Don't succumb to the fear of others, to the secondhand embarrassment of others. Don't succumb to that. Because the way you can be truly loving to others is by sharing your light. And that light sometimes might be dim, and that light sometimes might be very strong and bright. But share your light nonetheless. And ultimately, all those tiny little failures are inconsequential in the greater scheme of your life. Because if you are remembered for failing something, who gives a shit? You're not alive to see it. Just enjoy your life at the moment. Focus on the enjoyment rather than what you get out of something. Rather than the money, the fame, the glamour, the recognition, because that aligns with the fear of failure. There's the fear of failure, the fear that stops you. And then there's the desire. the lust, the yearning, the wanting. That is equally as poisonous as the fear. And of course, it's okay if you felt it. Don't be hard on yourself if you do. Don't be hard on yourself if you feel it now. I feel it. Everyone does. Everyone feels wanting, desire, lust. But be sure to not succumb to that. Because the fear of failure might stop you, but also the wanting might stop you. Because you might not put out this podcast, you might not put out this YouTube video, you might not put out this painting, this Instagram, this live video. You might not put it out there because you want to be recognized. You want the glamour of being the genius in terms of art or business. You want to be known as the guy or the gal who made some bright idea. You desire to be loved for whatever you put out there in the world. And when you look at what you have, you feel like that's less than that. So you fear that you won't get what you want. And that's the other thing that stops you. So don't succumb to that. Do for the sake of doing, for the sake of sharing. Don't do for something that you can get. I'm sure that I just contradicted myself talking even within this video. Because we all go through that. We all go through moments where we want the money, where we want the nice house or apartment, where we want that significant other, where we want to go to said country or have set goals artistically. But the more you're aware, little by little, of those wants that nibble at you, those fears that nibble at you as well, I think the more and more you're aware of it and don't judge yourself for having them, the better you'll be, the happier you'll be. I hope that helps. Thank you so much for asking that question, DS. Sam says, you bring a special flavor in all the videos that you make. Oh, I'm so glad. Thank you so much, Sam. Ross says, will you stop procrastinating to go on Fear Factor? Procrastination sometimes can be, as I mentioned, it's ultimately a feeling of fear. Sometimes that fear is right. So you might be procrastinating, say, maybe going out with someone. This might be a very common experience for most people. Going out with someone. You might be procrastinating heavily. Listen to that fear. If that fear is because of your fear of being embarrassed, your fear of being inadequate, then pay attention to that. Maybe you can transcend that, or push through it. But sometimes that fear might be beyond that. That fear might be an intuition telling you, this person might not be right for you. It could be the same thing as traveling. You might be procrastinating. You might be, someone might be telling you, hey, you should check out this cool cave. You might have a bunch of friends, hey, you should go on this cool hike. Or you should go to this cool country. And you might procrastinate. You're like, I don't want to go, but maybe I should go. All my friends are going. Sometimes it's the fear of potential disappointment. But sometimes it's intuition that's inexplicable. So procrastination could have been working in your favor. And if you're aware of it, you can do 3 things. You can do 2 things, actually. Transcend that fear, move through it, do the thing. Or cancel it. Don't do the thing. Do those 2 things. And forever neutralize that procrastination you're experiencing with that particular thing. Hey Bot says, does any of this, even my account of questioning, actually matter? You mean life, Mr. Bot, or the questions you've answered? The question you asked, I'm speaking, so sometimes I can't answer every single question, but I do appreciate you asking. But if you mean, does life matter? I think it does. I think, yeah, life does matter. No, I'm going to tell you it does matter. Every little thing you do matters. It might not matter the way you think it does. I think that's what stops a lot of people. Exactly the questions people are asking about procrastination and fear. You might think that that tiny mistake that you might have made in a video, oh, that matters. It doesn't matter. How you treat someone that you come across who's genuinely kind to you. If you're genuinely kind to them, it does matter. How when you're there with someone, a significant other, a friend, a family member, a pet, when you're there with them, fully present, that does matter. What you decide to do when you come across a bug on the road, and you decide whether to stomp it out of some type of anger or some type of disgust, or you decide to step aside and let it pass. That does matter. Whether you decide to put something out because you just love doing that thing, despite whatever mistakes it might have had that you might not have catched, despite it not being perfect. Or if you decide to not put it out because of your fear of embarrassment, that does matter. It does. It does all matters beyond our lifetimes. So be nice. Love others and other things. Have you seen my channel on YouTube? No, I have not seen your channel on YouTube. But do feel free to ask me anything. Touring different places says I'm not perfect in life. Yeah, and no one is. No one is. None of us are going to be perfect in life. And that's okay. But be kind. Have good intentions. Sometimes, you might fuck up with good intentions. And that matters too. It doesn't matter about the fuck up. It matters about the intention. If you have good intentions, I think it will benefit you in some greater cosmic way. If you didn't, I think it will be detrimental to you in some greater cosmic way. Have good intentions. Yeah, you might fuck up. Yeah, you might. Sometimes life can get rather serious and some harm might come across it. It sucks. Or in a global societal level, a country might have good intentions and things really go awry. And sometimes it's something very simple. You might have good intentions and, you mess up a order for a friend, or you have good intentions you cook something incorrectly. But you did it with good intentions. That matters. Wendy says, do you have siblings? Yes, I have a brother. Don't get me wrong. I love what you do. I will continue to, in this field, I'm having concentration on studying. Do you have any recommendations? Yes, I have a lot of recommendations for studying. It's better to turn off all, very practically, it's better to turn off all devices. The phone is probably our greatest weapon of mass destruction. Sorry, not destruction, mass distraction. So phones and apps are designed to be addictive. And due to that design, even if you have them on within a few feet away from you, it can be very tempting to use it, and their concentration is going to be diminished. So if you can avoid technology, turn everything off. TV, a computer, a laptop, if you don't need it. If you do need a certain piece of technology, turn every other piece of technology off. If you're writing a paper, then write it on your laptop, but be sure to write it with internet off. And turn off your phone, turn off your TV. If you want to listen to some music while writing, then use a Google Home, use a speaker. Google Home is great, or like Alexa, they're great because they don't have screens. So you're not distracted. You can just tell them to play the music and concentrate on your writing or your studying or your books. If your books are on text digitally, don't read it on the phone because the phone can get very distracting very quickly. Use your laptop. If it's only online, then be sure to just turn off your bookmarks bar. Do your very best to minimize those distractions. Close all your apps. Minimize your distractions. That's important. Will you say it's less stressful to live as a content creator than work at 9 to 5? Chris, no. Any could be stressful. Both could be stressful or both can be non-stressful. It depends. It depends on you. It is possible to be very chill and relaxed in your own work when you are a freelancer or a business owner. You know, I'm doing my own stuff, so I don't have a boss. I don't answer to anyone, only to the great algorithm gods. Someone asked me about the algorithm. The algorithm basically on YouTube and Instagram or any platform, it's AI that judges the quality of the video to show to other people. And the benefit that any app has with showing your video, you have to realize that what they want is people to watch the video and also click on the advertising that they have with it. So if your video does not meet that criteria, it won't show your video or your podcast or your song or whatever. So unfortunately, I think that's the case with live video. Live video is long. People tune in and out. They're not watching the whole thing. You can't really put ads on live videos right now. There's not really much of a structure for it. So it is not really in the interest of YouTube or Facebook to push live videos at the moment. So that's why they don't get that big. Sometimes for some people, they are very big, but usually they don't get that big. So that's the algorithm. So aside from the algorithm, I don't have a boss. So I can really do anything I want. So I could literally just stop making content right now and I'll survive. Which is great. And I'm very grateful to be in that position. I'm not in that moment right now, but I could be at the moment at any time. And people might complain. My audience might complain. I luckily don't have... It would be nice to have some sponsors that are recurring, but at the moment I don't have recurring sponsors, so I'm not answering to any sponsors. So I could just quit for a few months. And I'm sure... A, I can survive, but B, once I come back, I'll regain that audience. It's happened to me. I've taken a 2-month, 3-month break back in 2017. No, 2018. I took like a 3-month break. So yeah. It's good. It's nice, but it could get very stressful very quickly. So I'm my own boss. The danger of that is I'm also my own boss, and I don't have sometimes the restraint to stop working. So I work a lot, and I've been unfortunately subject to that in the past few weeks. It has been beneficial to me because I've gotten success, but I haven't established a boundary. So now I have a cold already the second time. I had a cold already in October. So even my body's telling me, hey, chill out. So that's the downside. In the 9-to-5 workspace, if you have a good, responsible boss or a manager, they'll be the ones to tell you to stop working. They won't exploit you. Some bosses might. A good boss won't. So it also depends on your work structure and who you work for. Dr. Tachi says, please take care of yourself. I am, yeah. That's why I like chatting here. I love live video. Live video to me, that's why I feel a little bit of a sadness with live video. Because I love it so dearly. It's truly a platform, a medium that feels so relaxing and so nice. But it's not always enjoyable to have a set schedule. So that's the first thing, at least for me. For some people, it's very enjoyable. But for me, it's not always enjoyable to have a set schedule. Sometimes it is, especially when I'm traveling. But B, it's nice to just, put on the video and just chat. Just show people a cool place. And that feels nice. It is a very cool medium. Chris says, does it ever get lonely being a content creator? Yeah, it gets pretty creatively lonely. At the moment, I am grateful to have a few collaborators at the moment. As I mentioned, I collaborate with G. Gatto. I'm collaborating also with Maria Querido from Greece, Liz from Virginia, and she's an old childhood friend who's helped me with some writing. So I have been working with more people. So I've luckily been feeling a little bit less lonely in terms of my work. But it's good to, I found it very beneficial for me to be a lone wolf for those first 6 years of running Urbanist. But now I want to have more people to work with. I want to have a team. I want to manage the team. Not manage, but I want to hire a team. I want to work with the team. That's what I want to do with my videos. And maybe, if my content proves to be good enough, if it continues to get views and hopefully gets more attention, and then I get more budget from it, then I can use that budget to bring in more people. I'm in a career I'm in the place where I rather pay people to work with. So I'm not necessarily really in the position nor in a field where it's easy to just work with people for pure artistic enjoyment for free. That happened to me when I was in my early 20s and we were all kind of college kids. It does not really happen now. So now I do require a budget to have some great collaborators. And yeah, I hope to have that budget at some point soon. I already have some of that budget. I hope to get more of that budget soon. Wow, I'm so glad so many people tuned in. I'm glad people are enjoying this. Sam says, your videos are special. I find them enjoyable and entertaining. Always instills me with an overall sense of satisfaction as your personality and sincerity. Thank you so much, Sam. I do appreciate that. Thank you so much. Because you have enough experience to know what they should be doing. Yes, yes. I think that in editing, I'm so grateful that I blew up in short videos, because now I really know how to edit. And when I work with editors, I know what to tell them they should be doing. And I can tell when they're doing something really right. Like Maria. Check out my short videos, you'll see Maria, especially tagged on Instagram. In YouTube, there's not really a space to tag people, but on Instagram, you'll see the tag. You'll see her work, and when she does something right, oh, I know. I'm like, holy shit, you're doing something really right. She made that video about Jacob Reese and the Lower East Side photos. That was from the Mafia tour I did last year. And that story, I did not tell it in one like snippet. I told that story in different pieces throughout the live video. Somehow she made it look like one coherent short video that looked like I made it for short video. She did such an amazing job with it. Anthony says, going more professional does mean 50K cameras? I would love to work with higher end cameras. I would love to make sequences in film, actual film. But yeah, I would love to work with bigger cameras. Cool thing is, with bigger cameras means better dynamic range. So you can get really a cool look and then you can get more shallow depth of field. So you can get very nice cinematic images that are hard to do with a phone or even with my DSLR camera. They're hard to do. So yeah, it would be nice to work with a big camera, to work with like a Red camera or more Ari Alexa. I would love to film with a Ari Alexa. A, because it sounds similar to my name, but B, there's so many cool films shot with it. Oh my God, imagine a YouTube vlog filmed with the Ari Alexa. Oh. Gives me chills thinking about it. How many people have you ever managed as a boss? Not too many, Oleg. I think the biggest team I've ever had was 6 people. In engineering, I was like, I ran my senior project, so that was like 4 people. But in engineering college, and then in Curved, I was managing the Facebook Live programming, so I had a lot of people I had to kind of work with to make the videos. So that was like probably up to 12 people maximum. But concurrently in one project, not too many. I made a dance film with, it's about like 12 women. Yeah, 12 dancers and 1 choreographer. So I think the maximum was a little bit under 15 people. It's probably the biggest project I've done, managing a group of people or directing them. Super Striker says, what's your social security number? So my social security number is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There we go. You have it now. What watch are you wearing? I'm wearing the Boulevard Lunar Pilot. Great watch. I love this watch. What are your reactions when people tell them you're a content creator? In the US, I usually get the reaction of like, "Oh, that's cool. Ooh, fascinating, interesting." In Europe, it hasn't been that positive. I'll tell you one instant. I went on this cool tour in Florence, and I told the tour guide that I was a content creator, and her entire demeanor changed. She did not like me at all. be a content creator on her tour. And I found that so weird. I was like so puzzled by it. I had no idea why. I just told her, she asked what people did in the tour group, and of course I'm gonna answer, yeah, I'm a YouTuber. I make videos. And as we're going with the tour, I kind of ask her a question, and we're kind of aside from the group. And this tour guide tells me an anecdote. But like, you know when someone's telling you something, and they tell it to you in a way of like, it's basically saying fuck you, but with a story. I'm not. This probably has happened to most of you at some point in your lives, many points in your lives. Sometimes people do that. So she's telling me, oh, one time I had this guy join my tours. And he went on the tours, asked a bunch of questions. And I was so curious about the artwork, so curious about the history of these statues. And then I hear from other tour guides that this guy was on all the tours of Florence. I'm like, okay. Are you talking about another YouTuber? and then that's what I was thinking. I was like, are you talking about a YouTuber? And she was like, and then I read the book Inferno, and I look back to the back pages, and I don't see one thank you to me or none of those tour guides. And I asked her, are you referring to Dan Brown? And she was like, and she gave me a yes. But she was the way she's told this story was in that way, like, fuck you, this has happened to me before. I found that weird because I was speechless. To be honest, I was very speechless. So I did not ask her any more questions throughout the tour. I decided not to leave because I knew that would have been more awkward. So I stuck through the tour. This was in Florence, Italy. And I remember the entire tour group was bored shitless. So it wasn't just me as well. She wasn't even that good of a tour guide. But the point was that she was afraid, she was bitter that Dan Brown, international best-selling author, did not thank that one random tour he took to learn a little bit about Florence. Let me know what your thoughts are on that. And I think she was insinuating, she was fearful that I was going on this tour and going to steal her stories to tell exactly what she was going to say. Touring different places, I'm concerned about your cold. Are you okay, my friend? Yeah, I'm okay. Don't worry about that. I'm definitely taking a rest. So thank you for your concern. So I found that at first when I heard it, I was like, because, I felt her pain. I tend to be a rather empathetic person. So I was there with her, and I felt that pain. So at first I was like, oh, yeah, that does suck. That does suck. I was thinking in my head. I was like, oh, that sucks. I decided not to interact too much with her afterwards because I knew anything I would say would be taken offensively. So, and she didn't even know who I was. She didn't know my channel. She didn't even know what type of content really I made. She just assumed because I said I was a content creator. And she was afraid, I think she was afraid that I was going to rip her stories and tell them on the TikTok. And that's pretty much why I went on the tour, was to learn about history as research so I can make videos. And I realize that certain tour guides and this has happened to me a few times with tour guides, have research that's truly hard to gain, that's hard to do, and it's difficult, and they got the great story, and they really got they did their research in a way that no one has. It's truly unique research. And I get that. And I get that someone wants to be recognized for that. It happens in the academic world. In the world of academia, you do have to cite your sources. Not so much in the realm of entertainment. Dan Brown doesn't have to do so. Dan Brown is writing fiction. I'm making fun stories on YouTube that are more anecdotes. I'm not academic. I'm not making a documentary that's academic either. So I think she was afraid of that. But then I finished the tour. Everyone was bored shitless. She kind of stormed off. not just because of me. By the end of the tour, I think she was pissed off that everyone was bored. Because what she said in the story, I was hoping to go on this tour to learn more about the history. To learn something a little bit deeper. And it proved to not be the case. Everything she said on that tour, I already knew. So it was a failure on both ends. So she was afraid I was going to steal something. Yeah, now you're going to think I stole from you because you already told me history. I already know. Like, this is all you told on the history. It's already on Google. Like, go on any article. And then I realized to myself, you know what is the silliest thing to expect a shout out from Dan Brown? The man is writing fiction. That one tour guide is really not that special. Even if I make a video and Dan Brown watches my videos, I'm not going to expect Dan Brown to list me in the back of a book because he saw my videos about the Freemasons in New York. Because it's not that special. Dan Brown is a smart guy. He did his research well beyond that one tour guide. Well beyond. Dan Brown is not just a mere fiction writer that copies. No, that man does his research from multiple sources. And same thing with my videos. I never copy from one specific person. It's from multiple sources. So that was one awkward way of someone assuming what a content creator is. And that's happened to me. That's the most outlandish example. But yeah, that's happened to me a few times from tour guides specifically when I tell them I'm a content creator. So that's why I usually don't tend to go on tours anymore, because it can be rather awkward. If I go on the tour, I go on the tour that is not directly related to what I do. So I go on food tours because, yeah, no one's going to get offended if I cover the same food. Actually, reverse. They'll probably be happy about it. And I go on like tours that are not related to directly about the general history. So I might go to a tour about music or a tour about maybe movies. What tours I do? Not architecture. I wouldn't do that either. But maybe a tour about, yeah, like something not related. Usually it's like music or food. And yeah, so okay. So it gets a little bit more complicated because later on I have drinks with the people in that tour group. And I had another instant of people responding to being a content creator, making assumptions that I don't think were fair. So let me know if you want to hear that second part of the story. JC says, can you break free of the algorithm? In a way, yes. I think it takes just like the greatest artists in the world have in essence transcended practical business thinking. The same thing happens in YouTube. Some people are just so good at what they do. Not perfect, but great at what they do. They do it with excellence. that they transcend the algorithm. I think it is possible. Bold and Bankrupt is a great example. There's another great guy who does Let Me Know. Is great. He transcended the algorithm. He posts like 3 times a year, and he has like millions of subscribers. How does she do on their Yelp score? I decided not to rate her. I'd rather not get into a position where I would rate that person. George is saying, I really enjoyed that Ramones tour. Yeah, the Ramones tour was awesome. I'm talking about a Florence tour. As a tour guide, it's a struggle to actually tell a detailed history or just simple cliff notes, says Dutch. Oh yeah, it can be a struggle to tell detailed history. Dutch, yeah, of course it could be. But Dutch, you're a great storyteller, and you do tell stories that, yeah, you can Google them. Like me, I can Google a lot of the stories I tell are Googleable, but they have a little bit extra. It takes a little bit more time than just a simple Wikipedia reading. And Dutch, you certainly tell those stories, so I commend you. Not all tour guides are like that. Catherine says, who have you met and had easily great conversations with? Where were they with you? I mean, I have a lot of friends I've met that have great conversations with. A recent person I've featured in my videos, Megan, she's excellent, very easy to talk to and very easy to feature on my videos. And a lot of other people. Kay in Ireland was very easy to talk to and have a fun blast. And in general, a country I encountered that was in Ireland, everyone was very easy to chat with. So Kay says, what happens when I promote you and I say you're a content creator? They say yes, but what does he do? Yeah, you gotta sometimes tell people a more traditional way. You gotta tell them, oh, he makes documentaries about history. You can tell them that. That's what I've noticed, especially if I'm hanging out with people who are older or from cultures that YouTube is not used too much. I tell, or they don't know about live streaming, I just tell them, oh, I make documentaries about history. That's my go-to. Or I tell them, I make documentaries about travel, or I make travel logs, or something like that. Or I'm a presenter for travel documentaries. Yeah, that's what I tell them. So the second part of the story is I go on drinks, and by all means, everyone here was nice. That tour guide, she might have been bitter, but she was nice. I could tell that she was, in general, a good person. But I go with drinks with the people after this terrible tour. And I don't think they're going to watch my videos, so I think I could say where they're from. And if you do watch my videos, I hope you take no offense, because I know you did not mean bad intentions. But there was this couple from Czech Republic. There was a woman who was from the Philippines, and there was a guy from Japan. And I tell them while we're chatting, having drinks, I tell them I'm a content creator. And the girl from the Philippines says, oh yeah, that's nice. The guy from Japan is like just nodding his head. I think he didn't understand too much English. Or he wasn't that like pay attention too much. I was like, yeah. But the Czech guy was like, oh, so you just he told me something along the lines of, oh, so you just film yourself all day and post it online? You do silly stuff online? He said something along those lines. He was basically assuming that I was a vlogger who cares about mostly just filming myself doing stupid shit. And there are vloggers like that, for sure. And some of them have true value too, because they are humorous. But no, I'm not that type of vlogger. So I knew what he was assuming, and he was like snickering as I told him I was a vlogger. And I told him, like, no, I show people all around the world. And I told him the anecdote, which I frequently tell because I think it's a very important anecdote to say. I had this one viewer. I think I hope still to have this one viewer. I'm not sure what happened to this particular individual, but I had a person reach out to me during that Italy trip who said, Ariel, I've been diagnosed with terminal cancer, and I am bedridden, stuck in the hospital, and because of you, I'm able to go back to Italy. I'm able to see all of Italy. And that was mind-blowing to hear. That was beautiful to hear. Of course, it's tragic too. I'm not sure what happened to that person. If they recovered, I sure do hope so. They did. If they didn't, may they rest in peace. But this person reached out to me. I've gotten many other similar messages. This is not just the only one, but I got that particular message that particular week in Italy. And this person was not from there, halfway across the world. And I said that to this guy and this group of friends while we're drinking. I was like, no, I make travel videos. And I recently got this message from this one woman who told me that she was suffering from a terminal diagnosis of cancer. And that I was able to show her the beauty of Italy live, her there watching me walk the streets, saying comments, seeing places that she might have visited. I think she visited before. Reconnecting her with a place that she loved, where she wouldn't be able to travel otherwise. The guy's expression completely changed. No longer was there a snicker on his face. I felt like he realized how important to some people a YouTube video can be. It's not to toot my own horn. It's not to think that I am some altruistic content creator or that I'm making some amazing content that's changing lives. I don't pretend to do that. I'm just making fun videos. I like making fun movies, fun documentaries, fun shorts, fun lives. I just want to have fun. But to assume that it's merely a vain endeavor in trying to chase fame doesn't apply to every creator out there. And to assume that the content is vapid and useless, it doesn't apply to every piece of content. A piece of content like a podcast, like a movie, a book, a piece of literature, a TV show, a mini documentary, anything. To a specific person, it could be life-changing. It could be comforting. It could get them through the hardest of times. And that has happened to me before. I remember I had a very tough time. I went through a very terrible breakup in during my college days. And it was devastating. And I was listening to this podcast called The Indoor Kids with Camille Nanjiani and Emily Gordon. And, you know, they merely talked about video games. But to me, it was so touching. They really helped me through that. And it was really beautiful. Truly. And I'm forever grateful for their podcast. So, yeah. Content can be very beautiful. Yeah. Yeah. So, don't judge if someone's a content creator or an artist or entertainer. Don't judge. Yeah, don't judge. The same thing with anyone around the world. Don't judge if someone's a garbage picker or a janitor or a gardener. Don't judge. Everyone has some value to the world. Everyone. Be Good says, that's why a lot of us are here. Yeah, that's right. Morgan says, the moon is so beautiful tonight. I'm so glad. I can't wait to see it. I knew you were great company, says Kate. I was in and out of the hospital for 2 years ago. Yeah, I'm glad I was there. That's great to hear, Kay. Susie says, don't get upset. I'm sending you a big hug. No, I'm not upset. Not upset. Quite the opposite. I'm very, very immensely grateful and happy. It gives you comfort, company, and distraction. Yeah, sometimes a simple distraction can be very beautifully beneficial. Very beautifully beneficial. Anthony says, what you do is a new era of honesty. Yes. Dr. Tachi says, we appreciate you. Yeah, thank you. Likewise. Nancy says, thank you for your vulnerability. Yeah, my pleasure. Taurine, different places says it's okay to cry. Of course it is, yes. Valerie says, those are tears of joy. It deeply is, because, yeah, it's wonderful to hear that. DS says, I struggled with depression last year and your videos helped me. I'm so glad to hear that. Ariel, we stick with you because you've helped us escape our worries and live at a time. Yeah. I'm so glad, Ron. That's awesome to hear. Sergio says, the vulnerability that you express is in essence a representation of the respect and admiration that you contribute to society. You, sir, are a hidden treasure of hospitality and sincerity. It's amazing to hear a person of Latin heritage speak so honestly and so sincere. Yeah, indeed. Thank you so much for that. Yeah, it can be harder in some cultures to have a conversation like this. In Puerto Rico culture, it's a bit more difficult. It's not that easy. Yeah. In American culture, luckily, it's now becoming easier and easier. Gerald says, greetings from Ireland. Love your work. And, oh, thank you so much. So, everyone, it was a pleasure to really chat with all of you. If you have any last remaining questions, feel free to ask. I'll answer very quickly. Yeah, now I'm just gonna read. Normal work today. For people who bought the guide, thank you so much for buying the guide. I appreciate that. DS says, allergies suddenly kicking in. Allergies are indeed suddenly kicking in out of nowhere. I have no idea. But if you bought the guide, thank you so much for buying the guide. There will be audio notes added, a lot more within this month. And the Christmas section has already been added, so you got a full Christmas guide that you can use to your benefit. And feel free to reach out to me if you bought the guide and tell me if anything's worth adding. I'm happy to consider adding it in terms of locations you might need that would be beneficial to you to carry on your phone when you're here. Yes, we're here for you, says Nebulo. Thank you so much. And likewise, I love making these videos. I'm here to entertain all of you in the best way I can. Planet says, check out Liverpool. I can't wait to go back. Truly. I was only in Liverpool one day, but I felt like I could have spent a few more days there, maybe up to a week. I live in the woods and I accepted a teaching job in the remote area. Your videos are helping me, says Wendy. Oh, I'm so glad. If I attach a GoPro to my dog's neck and start making videos, will it become a vlogger? Yeah. There is nuance, Oleg, but there is a room for passive entertainment. So yeah, you could just make, and you might get a lot of videos. I mean, I have a colleague here in New York who gets a lot of videos, a lot of views for making videos that are passive. Passive does not mean that it's lesser artistically, and it does not mean that's lesser technically, because they can be really, really hard to make or really hard to master. But Action Kid is a great example. New York City Walking Show as well, and there's many others, but those two guys really talented in making passive videos. So don't underestimate the power of snapping on the camera to something interesting and letting it roll. You'll get better. They might look easier than it is, but just put your stuff out there. You'll end up seeing how you can make it excellent. Action Kid has figured that out. The whole world is NPC. I'm the main character. Well, there's a lot of main characters out there. Susie says Letterman stated that in the 80s with his monkey cams. Or passive vids. Passive vids are basically minimal editing or no editing whatsoever. There's not much dialogue or no dialogue whatsoever. Like, there's no speaking, there's no voiceover, there's no like images added. That's passive entertainment. So a walking New York City video, not the live ones where people are speaking behind the camera. Even that is passive entertainment. But especially those walking videos, they're just walking. That's why I call it passive entertainment. It's not active. As I mentioned, it doesn't mean it's lesser. But it is passive. So you don't really need to, there's no real engagement on the intellectual level necessarily. There's really not that much engagement on an intellectual level. But that's the point. You just enjoy it passively. I tried it. I don't like making that content too much, but some people are excellent at it, like Action Kid. And Action Kid, by all means, is also excellent at making those videos where he's talking on camera too. Come to Birmingham. Birmingham. That's the hardest place to read, Brett. But yes, I did videos in Birmingham. DS says, how was? Yes, it was very good. It was very, very good. DS. I like the genre of 4K walking videos. Yeah. It's amazing. Wendy says, we are here for you. Oh, thank you so much, Wendy. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. I appreciate everyone tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this philosophical chat. You will see more places of Christmas in New York City. Stay tuned Fridays and Saturdays at 4 p.m. I hope you enjoy the Christmas vibes of New York City coming up. And stay tuned to my other videos that I'm posting, my short videos. But as the holidays are gearing up and I'm going to spend more time with families and loved ones and other people, do consider watching my older videos if you want more entertainment, because it doesn't always have to be a new video. I have a lot of cool older videos that I've made that might be fun to you to watch, that you might want to watch, that might be of interest to you. I've covered cities all around the world. If you're new here, I've covered no, well, I say all around the world, but I've covered cities in North America and Europe, 20 plus cities around. Gotten very deep into Rome, Athens, Italy, France, the Alps. I've shown a variety of naturescapes and cityscapes, small towns, big cities, countrysides of Ireland and Scotland, beautiful beaches. I've shown so many different things. Some of those things don't get that much love because they were live and not many people are searching for them. So if you really enjoy my content, if you enjoyed this talk, and if you want to see more of the beautiful world that surrounds us, go to my YouTube show, Urbanist Exploring Cities, click on the videos tab, click on the playlist tab and see the playlist. Go to Scotland, go to Italy, and search for those videos that wouldn't pop up in your feed otherwise. Like the beautiful beaches of Scotland. Yes, I showed some of the most beautiful scene I've ever seen in my life of a beach was in Scotland in the Outer Hebrides. Search for that video. It'll blow you away, and many others. Thank you everyone so much for tuning in. I appreciate it. !guide, urbanist.live/guide to get your own guide. Right now the price is at $50, and it's because it's an in-depth guide that will be periodically updated and has audio notes. So you're getting a lot of bang for your buck. You're basically purchasing an audio guide, written guide, and a map all at once. So it's not just a typical book that you just buy. Thank you everyone so much for tuning in. I appreciate it. Keep being awesome and always keep on exploring. Have a great day, everyone. Bye-bye.